See if it's going to do right this time. Yeah. Hey guys, and welcome back to Balancing Divine Feminine Ascension Frequencies with Aria Jade, where science and spirituality meet in the filter that is my brain. Lucky you. But good to be back. Today we're going to be talking about what is Ascension and am I a Starseed? More than likely, if you're here, the answer is yes, you are a Starseed. What exactly is Ascension in a nutshell? Remember that dream that you had when you were little? There was falling, and nothing was going to catch you. Well, that was you dropping from your divinity, from your energetic self, down into that small little egg of matter that was inside your mom. You were dropping in frequencies, right? Until you could slow your particles down enough to fit inside of that tiny little zygote, inside that being that was created, which was matter. And that's Lady over there in the corner. But, so you dropped in frequency, and now, as the whole planet and universe is spinning and traveling up, we're rising in frequency. First and foremost, the planet is rising in frequency, and we are trying to catch up. Some of us are. Anyway, there's a lot of people that are just staying in polarization, being against, totally at two different ends of a linear spectrum. But then there are those of us who are waking up to the fact that we are not linear, right? That we go on forever in that figure 8 infinite loop of going and coming into different levels of consciousness, right? And we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are the spirit, that divine energy that is first. So before anything ever happens, you have to have a thought of that thing happening. Well, that is first, but then sometimes you are just a receiver. Actually, you're an energetic receiver, transmitter, and these thoughts are all out here, and you are just sort of kind of cherry picking the ones that you want, if you're lucky enough to control your thoughts. If you're not, then that's a totally different video for a totally different day, because you have to be in control of your mind. If you're not, what happens to me, especially a lot when I go into doctor's office waiting rooms, seems to be the most often place, or even the vet clinic. I'll be coming in feeling great, nothing really on my mind, and then as I sit down, some sort of worry, which I refuse to do, will come in and start, and it'll take me a little bit, before I start realizing that I'm actually picking up on other people's frequencies that are in the room. At that point, when you realize that's happening, you have to do your GCP, ground, cleanse, protect. And as you ground, imagine those roots going in and the light coming down. Cleanse, I always imagine water coming in, but pick your favorite element. Allow it to come through and push anything that you don't want inside of you out. And then protect. Your imagination is your silver bullet. It is everything. So you have to imagine that there's a bubble surrounding you, protecting you, that nobody else's thoughts or feelings or energies can penetrate. Okay? And then that makes your nervous system calm, and it pushes other people's frequencies off so that they're not trying to come in and make that common frequency. The word's not coming to my mind right now. So as the waves come together, they grow, and there's a word for that, but you're blocking that, all right? a little bit of science. Okay, so now, am I a starseed? Now that you know what Ascension is that rising in frequency. And look at your Hawkins emotional frequency scale, because you are daily making conscious decisions of the weather you want to feel inside your body, of that radio dial that is you, and what it is you're wanting to dial in on and concentrate on to give you the frequency of your day. Now, all kinds of ideas and thoughts and things will come at you, but it is your choice to decide, A, if you want to think that, and B, if you want to dwell on that, right? Because out of everything that is against us right now, supposedly what we still have and what we will always have as a spiritual being is free choice. And free choice over our thoughts. But indeed, there is a big battle for our attention and what we're going to give it to. Are we going to give it to a horror movie? Or are we going to give it into something that's going to expand us and make us happy, wealthy, and wise? You know, how are you spending your time while you're here? While you are manifest in this material world? That's all up to you. So there's that. That's the frequency and the Ascension. Now on to, am I a starseed? It seems like there's something else that I was wanting to say. Oh, lots of people have asked 5D. Where is it? What is it? 5D frequencies are already here. They've been here. I don't understand why people are acting like, oh, the world's going to split. There'll be two different worlds, one that exists here and one there. We exist on all different planes all the time. We always have. These stations that you'll see talking about the aliens and stuff, guys, we're not alone. We've never been alone. What do we think Enlil and Enki were? Just by terms and definition, Jesus was not of this earth. So anything that is not of this earth, what do we call it? Alien, right? Just by terminology. And ever since God, Creator, Source, made all of this, ever since they spoke it into existence, ever since light B was said or vibrated, light has continued to go in the speed of light, creating more light. So it didn't just stop and stagnate with us. So how could we possibly think that we are the only ones? You know, that's just lower level consciousness. That's low frequency. That's an inability to believe, which we can't even call those people ignorant anymore. They're just lower consciousness, right? So 3D means space and time. 3D was governed by Saturn, totally. When we moved from 3D, we moved into 4D, which added mentalism more inside that time-space continuism. It got to where people were staying more in their head, just like the Hopi prophecy said that they would. Like the head pops off. And back when it was totally 3D world full of just time and space, the poor Hopis thought some entity was going to come in and behead all of us. That's not the case. It's just that now we're totally in a different space than where our body is. Our body and our mind, for the most part, is no longer together for most of the time, unless we're pulling those two together through yoga, which is union, or yoking of the inside and the outside, which is what we are starting to do as we awaken. We're realizing how important yoga is for our lifespan, and not just for our stabilization and our ability to handle all that's going on and to stay calm and to keep anxiety at bay, but also because we have to be at one for our consciousness to rise to the level that it needs to for our gifts to come back online. So you are starting to remember who you are, what you do, why you're here. You're starting to remember that you do indeed have a purpose. Now, that purpose doesn't mean like the people of the older generations, and you'll still, if you're in Alabama, in Gadsden, the Bible beater Christians, they're on the street corners trying to save people now, and oh goodness, those are just decisions that everybody has to make. Everybody has to decide to remember who they are and why they came here. It's not something to where the angels are going to knock on your door and say, hey, remember me? Here I am. I'm Gabriel and I came for this. It may happen. If it does, good for you. But more than likely it's not. It's going to be a very subtle, quiet whisper, a yearning. But there's a reason that yearning is there. It's there because that's your path. And it's illuminating for you to follow, right? So we, as free choice, to stay ignorant or to grow and expand and to free ourselves from this slave race that we've been born into. And that's what we are all doing. So the 144,000, everything that was in the Bible, of course, is not black and white word for word. It's metaphor. And I have heard that the 144,000 is the number of petals in the crown chakra when it actually opens up. Santos Bonacci, if you've not listened to him, wonderful, wonderful guy. Smart, very smart. I love the way he explains, excuse me, it's always spam. Everybody knows I hate talking on the phone. But Santos Bonacci, Bonacci, I believe, explains this beautifully, that each chakra has a specific number of petals, and as it opens and blooms in that energetic point, blah, 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 blah. But the crown is supposed to be the 144,000. It's not actually, there's only 144,000 of us, blah, blah, blah. But we did choose to come and to receive knowledge and light full on while the rest of them were in the dark. So as you start to see people on the street and you're smiling and they're looking at you like, what the F are you happy about? That must be fake. You're going to bother them. You're going to irritate them because they cannot see that in their life right now. But you're also proving to them that it exists, especially if you're feeling that way sober. So they do believe that there's a way to feel good, but everybody has been shim-sham, flim-flammed into believing the only way you can get there is through a chemical straitjacket or a chemical cocktail. How many Wellbutrins and Lexapros and Xanaxes does it take to make you feel like getting out of bed and smiling in the morning? Well, that's what the FDA has wanted to happen. The Rockefeller family foundation, right? because that's what makes them billionaires. That's how they're shim-shamming us. So the fact that you can smile and feel good and be happy sober because you're sovereign and you're figuring out how to make money on your own and how not to be borrowing money just to have the things so that you look like everybody else. The fact that you are no longer dyeing your hair or bleaching your hair blonde and wanting blue eyes, so you can look like this little stamped out figure. Means a lot. Your individuality is everything. And we're rebels. We're anarchists. We're the daughters of the witches that they didn't burn, right? So some people do go as far as to call people who can move energy by concordance or whatever still a witch. And as I've told you before, I own a metaphysical store. Come see us, Folk AF on Rainbow Drive in Gadsden, or folkafllc.com online. We've got a lot of new stuff. We've got a breakup kit, basically, that we're coming out with. How to break up and stay balanced. It'll have different levels. Level 1 is like the first 24 to 48 hours, how to get through that. And then level 2 will be the next couple of weeks, how to stay away from them and do things in a healthy way, right? And what else have we came up with? Time management kit, a way to put Saturn on your side. But anyway, come see us and we'll help you do all the energetic things. Lola is my astrologist, and she's great. She's about to get her own website, and I'll be glad to publicize that once it's open. But there's different ways of thinking now. We are ascending past the fact that we have to believe what everybody else believes. We were given a brain, we were given an imagination, we were given free will for a reason. There's some very horrible things that are going on in our world right now, and that's Butter. Sorry about that, he wants in the house. In the name of this occult spirituality, and occult just means hidden. That's all it means, and all of this knowledge was hidden from us. But we've got to wake up and open up to the point to where we know what all of this is about, what these rituals that these people are doing actually do, and how not to be afraid of any of this stuff. Because we're here to stand up against it. And it's time. It's high time that the light shines in a way that is peaceful and embracing, because that is the divine feminine. I mean, don't get me wrong, she can be badass. The divine feminine that first came to me was Kali, Kali, Shiva's counterpart, right? And she came up in a reading that I had done Saturday, and she's there to take names and kick ass and protect you, and to awaken those of us who have been stubborn and just sat back and said, no, I'm just Christian, I don't believe in all that, I'm afraid of it, don't get me, Well, if you're still pushing it away, don't be surprised if she comes after you in either your dreams or your side visions. When I saw her, I walked into the kids' bedroom It was just kind of side-eyed. She was there on the bed, all blue, on her all fours, hissing. And any other day I would have been like, ah! You know, ran out the door, slammed it. But I had to do some homework on the computer. And it was like, oh no, not today. Go back to wherever you came from. Well, I didn't realize it, but that was my initiation. That was my initiation for more. That was me saying, I'm not afraid of whatever's going to come up in my mind space, right? And that's where a lot of these things are going to happen. So that's why I say it's so important for you to get control and find grounding, ways to ground. So something I learned and that I've put in the relationship bundle, the emergency 5, okay? So when you need to emergency ground, when you start that spin, you know what I'm talking about, that rocking inside where you just feel like you can't feel your feet. Get outside, find 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can physically touch, 3 things that you can smell. Oh, I'm going to forget what the 2. 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can hear, and 1 thing you can taste. All 5 senses. Shelly. But anyway, and that will help you unite your mind and your body back together again. Hope this was a good one for you today. Can't wait to see what you have to say in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Like I said, here I am in Glencoe, Alabama. Love to you. See ya. Bye-bye.